Hello, friends. Welcome back to Page Turn and welcome to the weekly update. That's not been so weekly, but I am trying. Trying to keep up. So, thanks for coming by. On this weekly update, I usually talk about things that have been going on, things I'm reading, what I won't be reading, what I will be getting to, and everything else in between. Recently, actually this week, the podcast passed 50,000 downloads, which is for me, it's a big accomplishment because I'm not a huge podcast. It's just a small little podcast that we come on and goof off on. So thank you so much for everyone who downloads and supports the show. It means a lot to me. And it's nice to see those achievements, even if they aren't that big of a deal. It's still really, really nice to see that. So thank you, everyone who downloads, listens. And if you could drop a review, that would be fantastic as well. So this week, I'm going to talk about what I've been reading this week. This week, I've been reading Cloud Atlas, which has been a mixed bag for me. I was excited to get into this one. I really liked the movie. I saw the movie a long time ago, and I really liked it. I remember really liking it. And when I started reading the book, it seemed there's different stories that intertwine, and it just feels very disconnected to me. I haven't been the biggest fan of it, so it's been a little bit of a disappointment, unfortunately. I'm reading that one for speculative speculations. I haven't been able to catch the meetups because of my work schedule has been absolutely insane. So I haven't been able to join all the friends for the show. But yeah, it's been kind of a mixed bag for me, unfortunately. It hasn't been bad. It's just not what I was hoping it would be, I guess you can say. Expectations, I guess, were a little too high. Or maybe it's just not for me. And maybe it'll make sense when I'm completely done with it. So who knows? I've also been reading Dead House Gates, which is the second book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. We are reading that for the podcast. We read about 100 pages every week. Then we come and chat about them. This is my second time reading this book, and there is just so much stuff in these books. There's so many things that happen. There's little tiny details that I think you would probably catch after several reads, after completely reading the series and then coming back and rereading it. There's a lot in this book, in this series. There's just so much built into it. On one hand, it's really something that I can admire because there's so much thought put into it, and there's so many little breadcrumbs that have been thought of from the very beginning. On the other hand, it's a lot to keep track of everything and to kind of catch all those little things. There's so many things that happen, and there's so many pages to read that it's hard to keep up. It's hard to remember everything that happened when there's, it takes years to finish a series like this for most people. So it's a little tough. It's great if you can remember all those things, but it's tough because there's so much of it. But it's very bleak. This book is very dark, and I'm surprised that it got this dark, but it's darker than I remember, is what I think kind of my takeaway, but still a really good book. This one is probably one of the easier books in the series that I've read. I've only read to book 4, and I remember book 4 being really easy to read too. It just really flows. The first one is it drops you right in the middle of it, so it kind of makes you uncomfortable a little bit, and I think that's on purpose to just jump into the action and a war that's already happening, and it's a little confusing, and there's so many characters. But anyway, I really like Dead House Gates, so I'm excited to be continuing, and thankfully I have friends who want to do this type of thing, so it really helps me out because I'm not very smart, so that helps out a lot. I am also rereading for the 5th or 6th time Watchmen by Alan Moore, and Watchmen is probably one of my favorite all-time books. It's an all-time classic. I think most people can agree on that. And I love reading this. It's becoming a comfort read for me, which is weird. I have really strange comfort reads. What are your comfort reads? If you are listening to this and you are in a place where you can leave a comment, if you're on the forum, let me know what your comfort reads are. If you're on YouTube, drop it in the comments if you're listening there. Also, I am starting The Scroungers. It's a novella by Thomas J. Devins. It's about 136 pages. It's available on Amazon, and I am having a discussion for that one here in a couple of weeks. It's all the details are on the forum, but if you'd like to join up, would love to have you and chat about this book. It's a quick one. I'm trying to get more novellas into my kind of reading pile, things to get through and things to kind of keep the momentum going and keep the the shorter reads. It's nice to be able to jump in and jump out. A couple of weeks after that, I will be discussing The Dregs, which is the second novella in the series in the same world. So looking forward to that too. The Scroungers, it starts off, and I won't spoil too much, but it starts off as a war is ending, and all the princes, all the royalty, everyone's dead or dying, and the grunts or the people on the boots on the ground are thinking, why are we doing this? Like, why are we still fighting? Kind of like, fuck this. Like, let's go home. So that's kind of where it starts, and then it turns into a whodunit. In some ways, it turns into kind of like a mystery. So it's kind of morphs. I'm only about a quarter through it, but so far, so good. So this week, we're trying to set up a Friday conversation. We're trying to discuss the mental toll that being an author can take. And obviously I can't tell you about that because I'm not an author, but lots of the people that I talk to are authors, and this is the topic that they thought would be interesting. And even as a reader, I would really be interested to hear more about that. So we're trying to set up a time for that we can all get together and just kind of have an open, honest conversation about, like the toll it takes to be an author, especially an indie author, because it's so involved. There's so much that goes into it. So that is coming up hopefully soon. We need to get back to Friday conversations. It's been a while. My life has been upside down. So that's what's going on there. Also this week, I was visiting a used bookstore near me, and there's so many books in there, and I've been wanting to read more Cormac McCarthy. And one of the books that caught my eye was a hardback with splayed edges, and it was The Crossing by Cormac McCarthy. And I figured out that it was a part of a trilogy, and thankfully they had all three hardbacks with splayed edges there. And I had some trade-in that I had other books I had brought in for trade, and I picked up the trilogy. So we'll be starting that very soon too. Anyone who wants to join me on that, I will be probably reading about 100 pages every week, give or take. I don't want to do too much. I can't really commit to doing too much or much more than that. But if you'd like to read along and you'd like to come and listen to the podcast, or you want to read with me, or you want to join me on the podcast or join the forum and discuss it there, we will start a forum thread for that. No one else has signed up for that yet, so anyone is welcome. Also soon, I would like to start the Brotherhood of the Eagle series by Tim Hardy. This is a book. I've read book one. I'm going to reread book one. The audiobook is also available for book one. And the fourth book, the final book, was just released, I believe, recently. So it's hard to keep track of all these different release dates. But that is another series I will want to be starting soon. So all these are kind of in the mix, and depending on interest is kind of the direction I'll go. But all these are on the list. And also, this is something I've been thinking about for a while, and it is restarting the Wars of Light and Shadow by Jenny Wirtz. The reason I've been thinking about restarting it is because my friends who have been reading it from the beginning, it's been almost 2 years, have been reading it and meeting. I just haven't been able to meet up with them. They usually meet on times when I have other things going on weekends. And I fell behind for a long period of time. I tried to catch up, and there was a period of time there in the beginning of the series when I was dealing with a lot of things, and it's kind of I don't remember a whole lot from that time period. So I feel like I missed out on a lot. Like, I don't remember what happened. I feel like I didn't really absorb the material. And in some ways, I feel like I've kind of cheated. Like, I read the book, but I didn't really read the book because of everything happening at the time. And I think most people can relate to that. There's times when you want to read, but you have your mind occupied with other things, no matter what it is. It could be good or bad, but you just don't feel like you really absorb it. You really take it in. And that's kind of what happened with me with this series. And as we're getting to the end, I don't feel like, even though we only have a couple of books to go, I feel like I should go back and restart it and read it from the beginning to get really the whole impact of everything that's going on. So I'm not sure if anybody can relate to that or not, but I feel like I've cheated myself, and I've also cheated the series by not feeling like I absorbed it all, if that makes sense. So I'm thinking about doing that again. If anyone would like to join me, I will be starting from the very beginning. Have a very relaxed reading pace. So if you're worried about keeping up, let me know what sounds reasonable to you if you want to do this with me. It's a long journey, so be ready to sign up for a while. But let me know if anyone's interested. We will start with Curse of the Mistwraith, and we will start this party again. I think it's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to it, though. I'm excited about restarting, and I've been feeling a little guilty that I didn't. I feel like an imposter sometimes because I don't feel like I read it. Like I don't feel like I really absorbed it. And there's been a lot of talk lately about, well, not a lot, but we had a conversation on the forum about about a lot of content creators who lie about how much they read and about what they read and whether they skim it or they really read it, they really absorb it. And I think a lot of people do lie. They exaggerate about what they read. And I kind of felt like, oh man, am I one of those people? Because I don't feel like I really took it in. So I will be restarting that here shortly, but let me know if you'd like to start again with me. So we did finish Swamp Thing. The podcast is on the podcast. The episode is on the podcast. It's also on YouTube or anywhere else you listen to the podcast. And I've also been tossing around the idea of rereading Second Apocalypse a chapter at a time. This would be exclusively for rereaders only. I've already read the series twice and kept it spoiler free. We did keep everything spoiler free as we went, but this one would be full spoilers from the very beginning. Things that we recognize from the end of the series that get mentioned in the beginning. It would be also another really relaxed reading pace. So let me know if that interests you at all too. I would love to start that here soon. I didn't mention the used bookstore, and this bookstore is just wall to wall full of books. I mean, there's books everywhere. They have another room in the back with a bunch of old fantasy hardcovers. And I love old hardcovers. I don't like reading them so much. I like paperback trade. So this is my favorite size and my favorite style of print books. But there's so many hardcovers in there of like omnibuses and collections, and there's so much stuff in there. And I've been trying to find, I need more books. But after all the things I just mentioned, I want to try. I wanted to start and restart. There's some older authors that I want to give more attention to. One of them is C.J. Sherry. This is recommended to me by Jenny Wirtz, and I want to find older authors and kind of, just explore those works again and appreciate it for what it was and what it's done for for fantasy and for the publishing industry and everything else, and just appreciate those older authors that don't get a lot of attention anymore. So that'll be kind of my goal too. Let me know what you look for in used bookstores. When you go into a used bookstore, what do you look for? Where do you go? What do you kind of seek out? Another book that I always try to seek out is The Stand by Stephen King. I'm not the biggest King fan, as most of you know, but I do always look for The Stand. It's the one with the two people fighting. I think one of them has like a scythe and the other one has an axe or something like a pick. So that's one of the ones that I always look for. It has like a gold background. I always look for that copy. I just want a copy of that book. I probably won't even read it. I just want a copy of that book to put on the shelf because it makes me feel good. But yeah, as I mentioned, let me know what you look for. I found a bunch of some older books there. There's a thread on the forum if you'd like to see pictures of the bookstore and also other things that I've picked up. And please give me recommendations for things that you think I would enjoy. I am a little different because I do prefer the darker stuff. So I think it's hard to recommend some of the older epic fantasy because it's really something I'm all that crazy about, although I'm trying to expand my horizons a little bit. Speaking of Stephen King, I will have a review of Revival on the blog this week. So be sure and keep an eye out for that. I write lots of horribly written reviews on the blog recently. I've been reviewing comic books, been reviewing other books that I've read. And Revival is one that I read a while back that I just wanted to write a review for. It's just sharing my thoughts. I try and keep reviews short and spoiler free. it's one thing that kind of irritates me is when you want to read a review for a book and the review is almost as long as the book. And it's like, I don't want to read a novella about a novella. Like, just give me the quick and dirty. What did you think? Give me kind of thoughts and some takeaways, and I will decide from there. So that's kind of my style. I know some people like the really long reviews, but if the review is just on and on and on, it's like, I don't want to know that much about the book. I want to know enough about kind of general ideas and what you thought of it, and then I'll go from there. I'm not someone who likes to go in knowing too much into a new book or even a new movie or even music I listen to. I just want an idea. So if that sounds interesting to you, go by pagedoing.com and go check it out. We are looking for more bloggers. We are, what I'm doing is I would like to have more reviews up. There are a couple of people writing reviews. We also have a series called 10 Questions, which is when people on the forum volunteer to be asked 10 random questions from other community members. So we ask 10 random questions, some hard-hitting questions. One of them was something like, if you receive an elephant and you can't sell it or give it away, what would you do with it? Things like that. Things like that. It's most of it's silly, some of it's serious, but it's just having a good time. So every Friday, there was a new blog article posted for 10 questions, and the latest victim is Susanna Imaginario. So be sure and check that out. The first one was Thomas J. Devins. So go by and check that out too. We have a private club on the forum for people who blog. What I've been doing is I receive a lot of review requests. I receive a lot of them. I probably receive 3 or 4 a week, and I just don't have the time for all of them. I wish I could. I just don't. And what I've been doing is I've been sharing those requests in the club, in the private club, and people who are writing reviews can opt in on any of the books that I post. And we did do that. We are reviewing a book, an arc. Thomas J. Devins and I are both reviewing a book that's coming up. I don't want to say too much. And we'll have reviews for that, and maybe even a podcast episode if we both enjoy it, if it warrants conversation. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I would love to have more people writing reviews and keep content coming on the blog and kind of keep it going and kind of have a little bit of a review site. And whether it's movies, music, comic books, whatever you want to do, let me know. We can talk about it. So thank you everyone for coming by and listening. I'm trying to be better about the weekly update, making it actually weekly. My life has been upside down in more ways than one lately. My work schedule has been absolutely insane. I've been working 60, 70 hours a week, and it's just been crazy. So bear with me, and we'll get through it eventually, hopefully. Anyway, thank you for coming by. I hope you are having a fantastic week. I hope you're finding some good weather coming your way, hopefully, and hope you have some awesome reads that you're in the middle of. If you are, then let me know what those are, whether here on the podcast or on the forum or in the comments below if you have that option. Also, you can send me a message down below in the description. There is a link that says send me a message. You can send a direct message that way. And if you're interested in reviewing or just want to say how wrong I am about something, that's cool too. But hope everyone's having a fantastic week. Hope you're having lots of great reads, and we will talk to everyone very soon.